Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. It's great to be here with this group of people as we share our vision and values for making it in Michigan. I'm glad to be up here with my friend Speaker Joe Tate, fellow legislators, leaders from the business community, and of course, our Governor Gretchen Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. I don't need to tell you about how here in Michigan we have all the best ingredients for bringing new commerce here, but I will anyways. With our top universities and trade schools, thriving cities with lots of space to grow, diverse and stable economy, and our vast natural resources, there's so much to Michigan that makes us the envy of the world. Most importantly, we are hardworking and humble people who share a culture of getting the job done right. As the new Democratic majority, we have had a lot of conversations on how we can increase and improve economic development in our state, and in every conversation, our focus starts with people. You've already seen these values in action with our first major legislative accomplishments. When we rolled back the retirement tax, we did that knowing that making our state a more comfortable place to retire is good for business. When we expanded the Working Families Tax Credit, we did so knowing that when folks earning the least have a small safety net, we're more likely to keep them right here in Michigan, and that's good for business. We know that when women have access to reproductive health care and LGBTQ rights are affirmed, that's good for business. And when we invested in housing in the supplemental budget, we did so knowing that having homes accessible and affordable is good for business. These measures set the stage and make it clear to prospective employers that they are welcome to make it in Michigan, and their employees are going to love it here too. We know that states that make smart investments in their people, their education, public transit, infrastructure, and other wraparound services have a greater success attracting high-quality employers. Our biggest challenges are also our biggest opportunities. We are excited to seize this opportunity before us to put our people-first values into action with this more comprehensive and holistic approach to economic development. Before I turn it over to the speaker, I just want to take a moment to extend my thanks to Senator McMorrow, who has been leading this important work on behalf of the Senate Democratic Caucus, as well as Representative Hoskins. Thank you. You will hear from them shortly, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to applaud their work on the issues and express my dedication to infusing our forthcoming economic development ventures with these values. Thank you, and Mr. Speaker, I will let you take it from here.
Well, thank you, Majority Leader. Good afternoon, everyone. Move this up a little bit. Good afternoon. As we know, Michigan's greatest asset is our people. We know that when we invest in our people and local communities, our state thrives. The three pillars of the Make It in Michigan strategy, projects, people, and places, are already a driving force behind our legislative and budget priorities. Today's announcement makes it clear our commitment to continue to see Michigan succeed. I want to thank Governor Whitmer and Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist for their leadership, and for Senate Majority Leader Brinks for her partnership in what we are looking forward to doing. Representative Hoskins will continue to be our lead in the House on reimagining economic development in Michigan, and I look forward to building on the success of the past few months. And without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to both Representative Jason Hoskins and Senator Mallory McMorrow.
I'm glad he moved it down. You know, we're not quite the same height there. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm State Representative Jason Hoskins. I represent Michigan's 18th District. I also have the privilege of serving as chair of the Economic Development and Small Business Committee in the House. And I am so excited to be here to talk about the next chapter in Michigan's economic development future. a story that recently has involved major investments from businesses in our state, as well as thousands of jobs secured here. But we must go further. In the next chapter of this story, we're going to continue to build upon the successes that we've made. And so in many of the conversations I've had with leaders in business, both big and small, I hear often about the things that can make Michigan a top 10 state in business attraction, but the thing I hear the most is talent, talent, talent. We must invest in the talent here in our state. And the talent has made clear what they want. They want jobs that provide a living wage and good benefits. They want to live and work in vibrant communities, and they want bustling main streets and affordable housing to live in while they do it. We have heard you. From Southfield to St. Joe to Saginaw, we want to make Michigan the best place to do business, raise a family, have a great quality of life, and we want Michigan to be a place where you can make it happen. Because we're doing all this great work here, and we've done so many good things. We're on the heels of an announcement of record low unemployment levels, and we're not stopping. We're not stopping until prosperity is achievable for everybody in Michigan. That means putting a pathway down that could be walked by every single person in Michigan, no matter who you are or where you're from. That means redeveloping blight in our communities. That means continuing to invest in child care and making sure that Michiganders are the best workforce in the nation. So it's important that we are competitive as we are attracting jobs here to the state. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work with my colleagues in the House, with Senator McMorrow in the Senate, as well as with the governor and her team, to make sure that we are number one in economic development in the country. And with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Senator Mallory McMorrow.
Thank you, Representative Hoskins. And it's so amazing to be here on the porch today in Michigan, because what we know, Michigan is an incredible state. It is one of a kind. I mean, just look at this water. This is the Great Lakes state. We are a state that invented the way that people get around. We created the American automotive industry, and we know that these things can and must coexist. And we're in a moment right now in a historic trifecta here in the state that is showing the rest of the country how we get things done. In a moment when other states are legislating people out of their borders, telling people that they are not welcome, telling members of the LGBTQ community, telling women who want to make their own decisions on if and when to get pregnant that they are not welcome. Michigan is America's high five. And we are ready to high five you and welcome you in and take the next chapter forward so that when you get here, you know that you are going to have a great place to live. You are going to have a career, not just a job, but a career that you love, that will help you raise your family. And we will write the next chapter forward here in Michigan, because we know that economic development is everything. It is people, it is places, and it is projects. And the states that are leading and are competitive here are combining all of those things, not just viewing those in silos. And that's what our new majority and our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, and everybody up here today is committed to doing. It's been an exciting process working with our colleagues in the House and the Senate to bring these values forward, and I can't wait to see what's next. With that, I'm really excited to invite somebody who is showing us what's next, Mujib Ijaz from Our Next Energy.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and also I'm excited to be part of what is history in the making. Last year at this time, I had the pleasure and honor of meeting Governor Whitmer and her team for the first time. And as I had been working with MEDC at Our Next Energy on deciding where to build our first gigafactory here in the United States, we selected Michigan as a state that we would launch the largest LFP, lithium iron phosphate factory in the country, a 20 gigawatt hour factory. We announced that in October of last year, and since October, we've been able to take possession of that building, pour concrete, start erecting walls, building equipment overseas, and are bringing that equipment later this year and have that factory, as we promised, running the first cells at the end of this year. Our goal is to go fast because we need to. Our goal is to build jobs here in Michigan. The 2,100 jobs promised for this factory will kick off the starting of employment this year. And we turn our attention to the topic of how do we build workforce for battery factories with new skills that are required. And we thought of a simple idea, which is that Michigan's future is her youth. And building upon that idea, I was asked so often by many that are interested in workforce, what is the skill that we're looking for? And as I think about that skill, what I'm looking for is passion. I'm looking for ambition. I'm looking for the desire to make things right here in Michigan. And those skills, while they sound generic, are actually the certain and important ingredients in a great workforce are those kinds of ambitions and skills that are soft skills. The training is something that we can do, but I can't create passion. So what we decided to do with this idea is to kick off an initiative that would focus on the high school last 2 summers between your junior and senior year and before you leave high school. Those summers would become the opportunity for us to create programs for apprenticeship and opportunities to work alongside industrial companies that are building gigafactories where they can gather the skills, the education, and try out the workforce as they're learning how to do that. And we decided to call this initiative because, remember, I said Michigan's future is her youth. We're going to call it My Future. And that program, as we kick off, will include academic partners, industrial partners, and of course, the great state of Michigan as a partner, because we think the high school students deserve a chance to develop this apprenticeship and then be guaranteed a great paying job in our future factories. We appreciate that opportunity, and to speak a little bit more about our wraparound ideas for all workforce, I want to introduce our Chief Strategy Officer, Deanna Ahmed.
Thank you, Majib. And thank you, Governor Whitmer, for your continued support to bring new business to Michigan and to train the next generation for rewarding careers in clean energy. At One, we are manufacturing energy storage technology that supports the vision of our future to decarbonize the grid and mobility. And we cannot do so without recruiting a diverse and talented workforce, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to make it here in Michigan. Women make up only 30% of manufacturing workers. One is driving towards gender parity and is committed to recruiting more than 70% of our workforce from local communities around Van Buren Township. To do this, One is working to close equity gaps in manufacturing, and we are doing so by listening to the community, partnering with the state, and partnering with community leaders. We want to provide wraparound services, flexible shift work so that even moms and caretakers can come join our workforce, and competitive pay. We want to remove many of the barriers that have kept underrepresented populations out of the workforce. I commend Governor Whitmer for her investment in educational programs like the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which further incentivizes young and talented people to stay right here in Michigan and helps accelerate industries like clean tech and like One that are crucial for our clean energy economy right now. Over the past year and a half, One has hired over 100 interns and Michigan College graduates, which have benefited from these programs. There is no better place to begin building the future of clean energy technology than Michigan. Thank you to Governor Whitmer, the state legislature, Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and everyone who's been our very strong partners to make sure that businesses like One can continue to thrive. And I would like to pass it on to Price.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the introduction. My name is Price Dobernick. I'm the president of the Michigan Pipe Trades Association. Our association covers just over 12,000 members here in Michigan, performing plumbing, pipe fitting, welding, HVAC technicians, and sprinkler fitters, just to say the least. Our apprenticeship programs across the entire state of Michigan are growing just like our membership. Both our apprenticeships and our memberships are growing at a rate that we've never seen in the past due to some of the successes we've had in recent years. and announcements like today make that possible moving forward. I'm proud to be here this afternoon to support Make It in Michigan. Efforts like this are necessary to compete across the country, in my opinion. And with opportunities like this in the future, it'll allow us to expand our apprenticeships and our membership and create job opportunities for the next generation in the building trades across the entire state of Michigan. So with that, I want to thank Governor Whitmer, Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist, and all the leaders behind me for their efforts. Efforts like this will make it possible for many in the building trades to create long, sustainable jobs moving forward. And we are ready to build it in Michigan so eventually we can make it in Michigan. So with that, I will turn it over to a gentleman who needs no introduction, and that's our Lieutenant Governor, Garland Gilchrist.
I think mine is the highest. Price, thank you so much for the introduction. And I hope that what is evident to everyone here is that this Make It in Michigan effort is a team effort. We have represented here really a all hands on deck approach. We have the public sector represented not only by Governor Gretchen Whitmer, our amazing leader, not only by our legislative chairs in the relevant committees and our caucus leaders, and not just caucus leaders, but frankly, chamber leaders, other legislators who are here with us. We have leaders in local government who are also standing here to show that the public sector will do everything we can to make Michigan the best place for people to be successful. But the private sector is part of this solution too. This is really the perfect place here at this Mackinac Policy Conference to make this announcement about this realignment around goals and expectations about what it takes to make it in Michigan. Not just literally make things in Michigan, which we've done for hundreds of years, but how do we make it so that more people can actually make it in the state of Michigan? And this is important to me, not just as Lieutenant Governor, but on a personal level. You know, my story is one of someone who was public school educated in Detroit and Farmington Public Schools, who went to the University of Michigan College of Engineering, and who pursued a career outside of Michigan before coming home 9 years later. When we are successful in all of these investments and all of these partnerships and all the creativity that will expose young people and mid-career professionals to pathways and all of the industries that we can create that exist now or that will be invented through people with ideas in the state of Michigan, it will be clear, there will be no doubt and no argument that Michigan is the best place to make things happen. And so this connective and collaborative effort where we are aligning programs that we've already announced, but also where we are designing new programs that will position us for a prosperous future in the state of Michigan, there will be no doubt in my mind or anyone else's mind that everything is possible here in our great state when we make the choice to work together so that everyone can make it in Michigan. And so to finalize how we articulate this vision, I want to bring to you the governor of the great state of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I want to thank everyone who's standing behind me, so many of our partners across the state who are absolutely invested in making sure that Michigan is successful, not just today, but for decades and generations ahead. Today, we're excited to share Make It in Michigan, our vision to grow the state's economy and build a brighter future. And before I get started, I want to acknowledge some few people specifically. Senate Majority Leader Winnie Brinks, Speaker Joe Tate, Senator Mallory McMorrow, Representative Jason Hoskins, and Representative Grant. I want to thank all of those who are standing with us as well, and the business leaders from across the state. The vision we're sharing embraces the holistic framework for economic development that we've been working on together for decades in this state. Make It in Michigan brings together three priorities on which we've been working for many years. Compete for projects, number one, right? Projects. Competing for projects to bring good paying jobs and supply chains home. Two, investing in people so that they can pursue their potential from pre-K through post-secondary with the personal freedoms they deserve. And three, revitalize places by funding housing and community development so we can make sure that every region is a more attractive place to live, work, and invest. People, projects, places. These three Ps will support our long-term vision for Michigan. Over a century ago, Michigan built a reputation as a beacon of opportunity for anyone who was seeking a good job and a path to the middle class. More money in your pocket, a better quality of life, and hope for your future. At our best, that is Michigan. We must build on that reputation. To help more people, businesses, and communities make it in Michigan, we need to deliver the 3 Ps I outlined earlier: projects, places, and people. If we do, we can make Michigan a top state for talent and increase our labor force participation. We can make Michigan more competitive in key advanced manufacturing sectors and support a solid job growth rate. We can make Michigan a place where entrepreneurs and young companies have opportunities and resources to grow here. And we can make Michigan a state full of vibrant communities where we deliver on the kitchen table issues that matter most to people's lives. Today, I want to talk specifically about the first. That's projects, on how we can become and how we can become even more competitive and keep competing to bring manufacturing jobs and supply chains home. In December 2021, I brought Republicans and Democrats, the public and private sector leaders together to build up our economic toolkit. Together, we created strong new tools to compete for projects. In the 18 months since, we have brought home $16 billion of investment, securing more than 16,000 good-paying jobs building electric vehicles and batteries, semiconductor chips, and other clean energy jobs. Our work is paying off. We have been identified as a state that will dominate battery production by 2030, lead the future of mobility and electrification, and become a national leader in chip making. Because of our economic development work, we're leading the future of advanced manufacturing. But we must keep our foot on the accelerator. To keep momentum and win more projects, here's what we're proposing. The Make It in Michigan Transformational Brownfield Fund. Site selection is a critical factor when businesses are looking to expand. In Michigan, we have a lot of properties that need a little TLC to be ready for their second life. Let's convert brownfields and other abandoned property into productive spaces ready for investment. The Make It in Michigan Advanced Manufacturing and Clean Tech Competitiveness Fund is another part of our strategy. Thanks to President Biden's leadership, billions in federal resources are on the table to help us make more stuff in America. And that includes semiconductors and clean energy, 2 sectors where we have a lot of natural strengths. Let's establish this fund and bring home more than our fair share of federal resources from the CHIPS and Science Act and the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a lot more we can and must do to keep winning projects. I know we can spur more research and development, R&D, here in Michigan. We can lower costs for businesses so they can hire more Michiganders and expand production. And we can bring more cutting-edge manufacturing facilities home while building up the communities that they move into with linked investments in housing and childcare, workforce training, and infrastructure. We're standing here together today because we're on the same page about economic development. Together, we will keep competing for projects that make Michigan and Michiganders stronger. My legislative friends and I will have a lot more to share on people and places in the weeks ahead. We will work to lower costs, protect fundamental freedoms, build housing, compete for the best and brightest, and so much more. The motivation and philosophy behind these priorities is the same. We want anyone and everyone to be able to make it in Michigan. So let's keep our foot on the accelerator together, invest in people, and revitalize places. We invite everyone who is here at this conference and across our state to join Team Michigan. We all have to be on the same team as we think about building an economy that will continue to grow and create opportunity for future generations of people in this state. With that, thank you. Bobby?
Governor, how much money are you asking for these 2 funds you're announcing today?
So Jonathan's questions about what the resources are. We're still negotiating. We're obviously working on the budget right now as we speak, and precisely what the size is, we're still talking about, Jonathan. We'll follow up with you, though.
give a little more detail about what this realignment does? I guess I'm not really clear about how it differs from past efforts through SOAR and other economic development programs.
I think this is feedback from the business community about what we could do that'll help move things faster. As I pitch Michigan to companies that are thinking about coming to Michigan, or as I talk to incumbent Michigan businesses, a lot of the feedback stems around making sure that we've got sites that are ready to go. And that is the first of the two things that I announced. I think it's critical that we are focusing on ensuring that we've got the opportunities for businesses. We are seeing record reach into the MEDC. More businesses are reaching in, inquiring about growing in Michigan or moving to Michigan than we've seen since the beginning of the MEDC. Our unemployment rate is at a historically low number. We've made huge strides, but there's more work to do. And as we think about potential of a gigafactory, and as I remember talking to Mujib when we were at one, he said something important to me that stayed with me, and it's that we either win this decade or we're behind for a generation. And so listening to the business community, these were a couple of things that they highlighted that were going to be really important to making sure that we saw growth continue here in Michigan. And I'm grateful to my partners in the legislature for embracing this as well. And we're excited about moving forward on this and a bunch of other things that you will hear from us in the coming weeks. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right.